Today we wanted to talk to you about the intersection between elder law and nursing home abuse and how making decisions early on before your loved one gets to a situation to where they really need help and their health care is an issue, so that you're making the best decisions for them at the time and you don't have that additional stress of maybe arguing with family members or having discussions with family members about the right thing to do. Some of the key things that you can do to prepare for an aging loved one is to make sure that you're talking to them and finding out what they really want. Have they made any decisions about what healthcare looks like for them as they're getting older? Have they thought about living in an assisted living facility if they have to? How they would feel about that? Have you talked about maybe having in-home healthcare if you need to? These are all things that are hard to talk about because we never want to think that we're not going to be able to care for ourselves, but they're so important to have early on so that you can really have a sense that you're doing what your loved one wants when the time comes. And the longer you wait, the more uncomfortable it is, because if you're waiting until the last minute when you really need help and your loved one has to move into an assisted living facility because there are no options and you weren't able to make plans early on, that is never a good place to be. We see so many of our clients that are they're going through something very difficult right then, and they realize that they didn't find out what their mom or dad wanted early on, and there's a conflict between the family members about that, and that just makes everything so much harder. So some of the steps that you should take early on is make sure that you have a durable power of attorney. Your loved one can list the authority and the power, the various rights that you need to take those rights over. You can list all of those things out and agree to them in advance. You can also agree to when that power of attorney goes into effect if your mom or dad becomes unable to make their own decisions. Another thing that you should have is a medical power of attorney. So a medical power of attorney is going to allow you to make decisions on your loved one's behalf consistent with what they want for themselves when they cannot make those decisions. And that is also a form that is state by state that you can find and make sure that that's executed before anything happens and you have to really make these difficult decisions. When you're sitting there with your mom or dad and you're thinking to yourself, I really don't want to bring this up now, just try to do it. Try to do it early. Try to do it as soon as possible, because it's going to be easier for them to talk about it when they're younger as opposed to when you really have to make an urgent decision. And I would just encourage you to do that. Take the time to make these decisions early. Know what your loved one wants under certain circumstances, and then you'll know exactly what to do if something happens. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.